Dirt made my lunch. Dirt made my lunch. Thank you, dirt. Thanks a bunch for my salad, my sandwich, my milk, and my munch. Dirt made my lunch. Dirt is a word we often use when we talk about the earth beneath our shoes. It's a place where plants can sink their toes, and in a little while, everybody sing it, garden grows. Dirt made my lunch. Dirt made my lunch. Thank you, dirt. Thanks a bunch for my salad, my sandwich, my milk, and my munch. Dirt made my lunch. Dirt made my lunch. Dirt made my lunch. Thank you, dirt. Thanks a bunch for
Well, for me, it started more before we introduced it to the congregation. We started it in our covenant group, our environmental covenant group, and then with the larger environmental community, in the Green Sanctuary movement, yeah. Well, we slowly started that way. We visited some other garden areas, and then she really got it going with her house, and that sort of motivated us. We thought about it here, but weren't sure if and when it would happen. So Carolyn's example sort of awakened the interest and the energy, and here we are.
We just keep building it up, and then we pour inoculants on it, the microbes to really get it going. And then you should be able to reach in here, and it's hot. In fact, sometimes you'll see some steam come out. Yeah, it's hot. It's breaking down. In fact, looking at it this way is better.
Yeah.
This is the slope.
Yeah. He wanted to curve them around.
Well, we may not.
Here's the path.
This is the path and the steps down the slope.
Didgeridoo is such an ancient wind instrument. Wind being breath, breath being life, breath being the origin of life. The ancient Aborigines believe that this was the origin of life on Earth, in particular human life, but apparently all animal life, all things that breathe. And in a sense, you know, breathing these vibrations, this breath back into the soil will help to regenerate or help to generate energy and give impetus to the life in the soil that comes from the soil.
It's pink. What about this one?
That's ready. Yes, ma'am. We have a scale if you see. Can we toss the moldy ones right into the
Permaculture is a process where we're able to create really healthy food that we will be able to distribute to people who are needy and who do not have the opportunity to have a permaculture garden themselves.
Eventually it'll be very good stuff.
Permaculture means creating settlements, human settlements that work directly with nature and are based on natural patterns. And so they're resourceful as far as creating abundance of resources and not overusing, and just like using what resources that you have and not creating a lot of input. So being resourceful and creating a zero waste system, and it could the principles of permaculture can be applied to any system that you can think of. You can create a monetary system, or you can create an ecosystem in your own backyard, creating a garden. It's like basically the creation happens in different layers. So physical manifestation of applying principles of permaculture to psychological, buildings and spiritual buildings, and obviously buildings that have to do with the social networks and cultural networks. And so if you create a permaculture garden, you're basically creating obviously an abundant food system, you're creating community, you're creating a system of healing for the entire community and everybody who's involved. You're creating a system, a network between the different races and different ages. You're also creating a natural habitat for the wildlife that exists in urban areas that have nowhere to go. I definitely think when you have a system in place, which sounds like this is a system in place in itself, because obviously there are people who are part of this faith-based organization, and they come and go, and they're invested in it, and the fact that they've taken it upon themselves to build a garden is for me is the indication of how invested they are. I think it's a lot easier to work within the system and creating a project which is going to sustain. Because it's an organized effort, it's a lot easier to get resources. So it's a lot easier to go out and get donations and to get materials, and because it has the image of people knowing that there are people invested in this, and there are people who are together in a group, and they're doing this project.
Oh, I'm too far back again.
Yeah, you're fine like that. If you feel comfortable with that.
The element of faith and having a certain common ground, that also adds into the harmony and to the connectivity of the people together here. And the problem with a lot of the gardens I've seen fail, or a lot of community projects that I've seen fail, is that usually if a few people come together who are interested in doing something for their community, and then they have to go they either have to form a coalition or form an organization, and it's not an easy thing to do. So it's not easy to create an organization or a foundation or a coalition. So they end up just like doing these kind of like individual, sporadic, kind of like disconnected efforts, and then they also have to get funding. And what happens is that whenever you have a governmental agency or a city agency involved, or a private foundation involved, then you have to serve their purpose. So it's a lot harder to work in that model because you're not as free. So in this model, you're not limited. You have a lot of freedom, and you have a lot of investment, and you have a shared vision, which is your faith that you're sharing. From the seed, it's a potent seed, and it depends on how sustained the investment of people who are involved is going to be until it sprouts and grows and flourishes.
Food justice!